What if the key to lasting fulfillment lies not in what we acquire, but in how we perceive what we already have? It's a question that might seem simple on the surface, but when we dig deeper, it reveals a profound truth about the way we live our lives. Gratitude, often seen as a fleeting emotion, is actually one of the most powerful tools we have for cultivating inner peace and resilience. And when we look through the lens of Stoicism, it becomes even more transformative. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive." That's the essence of Stoic gratitude. It's not about ignoring life's challenges, but about finding meaning and strength in the present moment, no matter what it brings. In this video, we'll explore how gratitude aligns with core Stoic principles like acceptance, presence, and detachment. It's not just about saying thank you for the good things in life. It's about reshaping the way we see the world so we can face difficulties with clarity and grace. Whether you're new to Stoicism or you've been practicing for years, this journey into the heart of gratitude will offer insights that can change the way you approach your daily life. So let's take a closer look at how this timeless practice can help us build a life of deeper fulfillment and purpose. Gratitude in Stoicism is not just a feeling but a disciplined practice. It's a way of training the mind to see the world as it is impermanent, unpredictable, and yet filled with opportunities for growth. Stoics believed that gratitude wasn't about waiting for life to give us what we want, but about recognizing the value in what we already have. It's a mindset that helps us align with nature, accepting both its beauty and its challenges. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, often emphasized the importance of appreciating the present moment. He wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." This isn't just poetic advice, it's a call to focus on the here and now, to find contentment in the ordinary moments that often go unnoticed. Even in the face of adversity, Stoics practiced gratitude as a way to maintain inner peace. Take Seneca himself, who was exiled to Corsica by Emperor Claudius. Instead of lamenting his fate, he used the experience as an opportunity to reflect and grow. In his letters, he wrote about finding meaning in his isolation, appreciating the simplicity of his surroundings, and even seeing his exile as a chance to deepen his philosophical understanding. This wasn't denial or forced positivity. It was a deliberate choice to reframe his circumstances and find value in them. So, how often do you pause to appreciate the small, everyday blessings in your life? The warmth of sunlight on your skin, the sound of birds in the morning, or even the quiet moments of solitude, these are all gifts, often overlooked in the rush of daily life. Gratitude in the Stoic sense isn't about ignoring hardship. It's about balancing our perspective so we can face both joy and difficulty with equal clarity. By cultivating this practice, we begin to see that even the simplest moments hold profound meaning if only we take the time to notice. How can gratitude help us focus on what we can control? This is where Stoicism's timeless wisdom comes into play. One of the foundational principles of Stoic philosophy is the dichotomy of control, the idea that some things are within our power while others are not. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic teachers, put it simply, "Some things are up to us and some things are not. Our thoughts, actions, and attitudes. Those are up to us, external events, other people's opinions, even the weather, not so much." Gratitude, when practiced through this Stoic lens, becomes a way to anchor ourselves in what we can influence our own mindset and response to life. Imagine you're in a challenging work situation. Maybe a project isn't going as planned, or a colleague isn't cooperating. It's easy to feel frustrated, even powerless. But here's where gratitude steps in. Instead of fixating on what's going wrong, you can shift your focus to what's within your control, your attitude, your effort, and your ability to adapt. Maybe you're grateful for the skills you've developed that allow you to tackle the problem, or for the opportunity to practice patience and resilience. Epictetus would remind us that while we can't control every outcome, we can always control how we choose to see and respond to our circumstances. Gratitude becomes the tool that helps us reframe the situation, turning what feels like a setback into a chance for growth. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring the difficulties we face. It's about recognizing that even in the midst of challenges, there's always something to appreciate, something that's within our control. When we practice gratitude in this way, we're not just passively accepting life, we're actively shaping our experience of it. And the more we do this, the more resilient and grounded we become. So, what's one thing you're grateful for today, regardless of external challenges? It could be something small, like the quiet moment you had with your morning coffee, or something deeper, like the lessons you've learned from a difficult experience. By focusing on these moments, we're not just practicing gratitude, we're embodying the Stoic principle of focusing on what's truly within our power. And in doing so, we reclaim a sense of agency and peace, no matter what life throws our way. Gratitude is the antidote to endless desire. Think about it. How often do we find ourselves chasing after the next big thing, believing it will finally bring us happiness? The Stoics understood this human tendency all too well. They saw gratitude not as a passive feeling, but as an active practice that shields us from the relentless pull of wanting more. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, warned against the dangers of unchecked ambition, writing, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Gratitude, in this context, becomes a way to reclaim that power, to find contentment in the present rather than perpetually reaching for something beyond our grasp. The modern world, with its constant barrage of advertisements and social comparisons, amplifies this craving for more. We're told we need the latest gadget, the trendiest clothes, or the most luxurious experiences to be happy. But Stoicism offers a different perspective. By practicing gratitude, we can step back from this cycle of consumerism and ask ourselves, what do I truly need? When we focus on what we already have, our health, our relationships, the simple joys of life, we begin to see that many of our desires are not necessities but distractions. Gratitude helps us distinguish between what enriches our lives and what merely feeds our ego. Consider this: every time we feel the pull of desire, we have a choice. We can either give in to the craving, or we can pause and reflect on what we already possess. This isn't about denying ourselves pleasure or living a life of deprivation. It's about aligning our desires with what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Gratitude, then, becomes a tool for reorienting our mindset, helping us find joy in the ordinary rather than constantly seeking the extraordinary. Take a moment to reflect. What desires could you let go of by focusing on what you already possess? Maybe it's the urge to upgrade your phone every year, or the pressure to keep up with the latest trends. When we shift our attention to the abundance already in our lives, the warmth of a loved one's smile, the comfort of a home, the beauty of a sunset, we begin to see that true contentment doesn't come from acquiring more, but from appreciating what's already here. Gratitude, as the Stoics taught, is a practice that frees us from the endless chase, allowing us to live with greater clarity and peace. How often do you truly live in the present? It's a question that might catch you off guard, but it's one the Stoics ask themselves daily. Seneca, one of the great voices of Stoicism, often reminded his readers that life is not a rehearsal. It's happening right now, in this very moment. And gratitude, he believed, is one of the most powerful tools we have for anchoring ourselves in the present. It's not just about feeling thankful, It's about being fully here, fully alive, and fully engaged with the world as it unfolds around us. The Stoics had a practice that might sound a little unusual at first, memento mori, which translates to remember that you must die. At first glance, this might seem grim, but its purpose is deeply life-affirming. By reminding ourselves of life's impermanence, we're encouraged to appreciate the fleeting beauty of each moment. Think about it. When you know something won't last forever, you're more likely to savor it. Whether it's the taste of your favorite meal, the sound of laughter with a friend, or even the quiet stillness of a morning walk, these moments become more vivid, more meaningful when we truly notice them. Take something as simple as a conversation. How often do we find ourselves half listening, distracted by our phones or our to-do lists? The Stoics would challenge us to be fully present in those exchanges, to appreciate the gift of connection, even in the most ordinary interactions. Imagine sitting down to dinner with someone you care about. Instead of rushing through the meal or letting your mind wander, you pause, you notice the flavors, the warmth of the shared moment, the way their eyes light up as they speak. That's gratitude in action. It's not just about saying thank you, but about truly experiencing the richness of the present. This practice isn't just about making life more enjoyable, it's about training ourselves to see the world with fresh eyes. When we're grounded in the present, we're less likely to be swept away by regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. Seneca put it beautifully when he wrote, "Each day acquires a different value when you regard it as if it were the last." That's the power of gratitude. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, simply by reminding us to pay attention. So, what's one moment today that you can fully immerse yourself in with gratitude? It doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. It could be the first sip of your morning coffee, the way sunlight filters through your window, or even the quiet rhythm of your breath as you pause to reflect. When we approach these moments with intention, we begin to see how much beauty and meaning are already woven into our lives. And in doing so, we align ourselves with the Stoic ideal of living fully, deeply, and gratefully right here, right now. Seneca wrote some of his most profound works while in exile, a testament to the Stoic belief that even in the darkest moments there is light to be found. Exiled to Corsica by Emperor Claudius, Seneca didn't see this as a punishment, but as an opportunity to deepen his understanding of life and philosophy. In his letters, he reflected on the simplicity of his surroundings, the clarity of thought that isolation brought, and the chance to focus on what truly mattered. For Seneca, gratitude wasn't about pretending everything was fine. It was about finding meaning in the midst of difficulty, about seeing adversity not as a barrier but as a teacher. This Stoic perspective on hardship is as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. Epictetus, another towering figure in Stoic philosophy, taught that obstacles are not roadblocks but stepping stones. He famously said, "The obstacle is the way." What he meant was that challenges are not just things to endure, they're opportunities to grow, to refine our character, and to practice virtues like patience, resilience, and yes, gratitude. When we face adversity, we have a choice. We can either let it overwhelm us, or we can choose to see it as a chance to strengthen ourselves. Gratitude becomes the lens through which we transform struggle into strength. Think about a personal setback you've experienced. Maybe it was a job loss, a health issue, or a broken relationship. In the moment, it might have felt like the world was falling apart. But with time, you might have realized that this challenge taught you something valuable. Perhaps it forced you to reassess your priorities, to develop new skills, or to discover a deeper sense of inner strength. That's the essence of Stoic gratitude in adversity. It's not about ignoring the pain, but about recognizing that even the hardest moments can hold seeds of growth. Consider a modern parallel. Imagine someone who loses their job unexpectedly. At first, it's a devastating blow, a loss of security, identity, and routine. But over time, they might come to see this event as a turning point. Maybe it pushes them to pursue a passion they'd been neglecting, or to build a career that aligns more closely with their values. They might even feel grateful for the clarity that came from being forced to start over. This isn't about sugarcoating the experience. It's about finding meaning in it, about using gratitude as a tool to reframe the narrative of their life. The Stoics understood that life is unpredictable. We can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. And gratitude in this context becomes a way to reclaim agency. When we practice gratitude in adversity, we're not passive victims of circumstance, we're active participants in our own growth. We're choosing to see the silver linings, to focus on what we can learn rather than what we've lost. This shift in perspective doesn't erase the difficulty, but it gives us the strength to move through it with greater resilience and grace. So, what's one challenge you've faced that, in hindsight, you can be grateful for? It doesn't have to be a monumental event. It could be something as simple as a tough conversation that helped you grow, or a failure that taught you a valuable lesson. When we reflect on these moments with gratitude, we begin to see that even the hardest experiences have shaped us in ways we might not have anticipated. And in doing so, we honor the Stoic practice of finding light in the darkness, of turning obstacles into opportunities. Gratitude has the power to transform not just how we see the world, but how we connect with the people in it. Relationships, whether with friends, family, or even strangers, are at the heart of what makes life meaningful. The Stoics understood this deeply. They saw gratitude as a way to nurture and strengthen these connections, reminding us that we are all part of a larger, interconnected whole. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on this idea, writing, "What brings no benefit to the hive brings none to the bee." In other words, our well-being is tied to the well-being of others. Gratitude, then, becomes a way to honor that connection, to acknowledge the ways in which others enrich our lives. Think about the last time someone showed you kindness, a friend who listened when you needed to talk, a family member who offered support during a tough time, or even a stranger who held the door open for you. These small acts of generosity often go unnoticed, but they have a ripple effect, shaping how we feel and how we interact with the world. The Stoics believed that expressing gratitude for these moments wasn't just polite. It was a way to deepen our bonds and cultivate a sense of shared humanity. When we take the time to say thank you, we're not just acknowledging someone's actions, we're affirming their value in our lives. Take a moment to consider your own relationships. Who has made a difference in your life, even in ways that might seem small? Maybe it's a coworker who always has a kind word, a partner who supports you unconditionally, or even a neighbor who brightens your day with a smile. Gratitude, in the Stoic sense, is about recognizing these contributions and letting the people in your life know that they matter. It's not about grand gestures or elaborate speeches. It's about the simple, heartfelt acknowledgement of the role they play in your happiness. Expressing gratitude can be as straightforward as sending a text to say, "I appreciate you," or taking a moment to share how much someone's support has meant to you. These small acts of recognition not only strengthen your relationships, but also create a sense of mutual respect and appreciation. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that we are all part of the same hive, and by practicing gratitude, we contribute to the health and harmony of that collective. It's a practice that benefits not just the person receiving your thanks, but you as well, fostering a deeper sense of connection and belonging. So, who in your life deserves more of your gratitude, and how can you show it in a way that feels authentic and meaningful? Whether it's a handwritten note, a quiet moment of reflection, or a simple act of kindness in return, the ways we express gratitude are as varied as the relationships themselves. By making gratitude a regular part of how we interact with others, we not only honor the bonds we share, but also create a more compassionate and connected world. In the end, this is what the Stoics sought: a life lived in harmony with others, rooted in appreciation and mutual respect. How often do you pause to reflect on your own growth? It's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life, moving from one task to the next without taking the time to look inward. But for the Stoics, self-reflection wasn't just a luxury, it was a necessity. They believed that gratitude could serve as a mirror, helping us see ourselves more clearly and guiding us toward continuous improvement. Seneca, one of the most thoughtful Stoic philosophers, made this practice a cornerstone of his daily routine. Each night before sleep, he would sit quietly and review his day, asking himself questions like, "What did I do well? What could I have done better? And what am I grateful for?" This wasn't about self-criticism. It was about growth, about using gratitude as a tool to become more self-aware and intentional in how he lived. Picture this: at the end of a long day, you take a few moments to sit with a journal. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, you focus on what went right. You write about the small moments that brought you joy: the kind word from a colleague, the quiet walk you took during lunch, the book that made you think differently. This practice, simple as it may seem, helps you see patterns in your life. You start to notice what truly matters to you, what fuels your sense of purpose, and where you might need to adjust your focus. Gratitude, in this context, becomes a compass, pointing you toward the things that bring you fulfillment and away from the distractions that pull you off course. But self-reflection through gratitude isn't just about looking outward, it's also about looking inward. What's one thing about yourself that you're grateful for today? Maybe it's your resilience in the face of a challenge, your ability to listen deeply to a friend, or even your willingness to try something new. When we take the time to appreciate our own strengths and qualities, we build a stronger sense of self-worth. We begin to see ourselves not as works in progress, but as individuals with inherent value, capable of growth and transformation. This kind of gratitude isn't about vanity. It's about recognizing the good within us so we can cultivate it further. Seneca's nightly reflections were a form of mental housekeeping, a way to clear away the clutter of the day and focus on what truly mattered. By incorporating gratitude into this practice, he was able to approach life with greater clarity and purpose. Imagine applying this to your own life. What if, at the end of each day, you took just 5 minutes to reflect on what you're grateful for, not just externally, but within yourself? Over time, this simple habit could transform the way you see yourself and the world around you. It's a reminder that growth isn't just about achieving more. It's about appreciating who you already are and using that awareness to become the best version of yourself. Epictetus once said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." This simple yet profound statement captures the essence of what it means to live with both gratitude and humility. Gratitude, as the Stoics understood it, isn't just about appreciating what we have. It's about recognizing how interconnected we are with the world around us. It's about understanding that our achievements, our joys, even our very existence, are not solely the result of our own efforts. They're shaped by countless factors beyond our control, by the support of others, by the opportunities life offers, and by the intricate web of circumstances that make up our reality. When we practice gratitude, we're reminded of this interdependence. It's hard to feel prideful or self-centered when we take a moment to acknowledge how much we owe to others. Think about your own life for a moment. Who has helped you along the way? Maybe it's a mentor who guided you, a friend who stood by you during tough times, or even a stranger whose kindness made a difference. Gratitude shifts our focus from "I did this" to "we made this possible." It's a humbling realization, but also an empowering one. It reminds us that we're part of something larger and that our successes are shared. Humility, in this sense, isn't about diminishing ourselves. It's about seeing ourselves clearly. It's about understanding that while we have the power to shape our lives, we're also shaped by forces outside our control. Take nature, for example. The Stoics often spoke of living in harmony with the natural order, recognizing that we are small yet significant parts of a vast, interconnected system. When we feel gratitude for the air we breathe, the food we eat, or the beauty of a sunset, we're acknowledging our place in that system. We're reminded that we're not the center of the universe, but a thread in its intricate tapestry. This perspective can profoundly change how we approach our daily lives. Instead of striving for recognition or status, we begin to value connection and contribution. We start to see that true fulfillment doesn't come from standing above others, but from standing with them. Gratitude becomes the bridge that connects us to each other, to the world, and to a deeper sense of purpose. So, how can gratitude help you cultivate humility in your own life? One way is to make it a habit to acknowledge the people and circumstances that have supported you. The next time you achieve something, take a moment to reflect on who helped make it possible. Write a note of thanks or simply say it out loud. Another way is to practice gratitude for the small, everyday things: the warmth of the sun, the sound of rain, the comfort of a familiar routine. These moments remind us that life is a gift, not something we've earned or created on our own. By embracing gratitude, we not only enrich our own lives, but also foster a sense of humility that keeps us grounded. It's a practice that helps us see the world with clearer eyes, to appreciate the contributions of others, and to approach life with a sense of wonder and respect. And in doing so, we honor the Stoic ideal of living in harmony with the world, not as masters of it, but as grateful participants in its unfolding story. Gratitude builds resilience by shifting our perspective. It's not about pretending life is easy or ignoring the pain of adversity. It's about finding a way to see challenges through a lens of growth and possibility. The Stoics understood this better than most. For them, gratitude wasn't just a feel-good practice. It was a survival tool, a way to endure hardship with grace and emerge stronger on the other side. Marcus Aurelius, facing the immense pressures of ruling an empire, often reminded himself to find value in struggle. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, what seems like a setback can actually be the very thing that propels us forward, if we choose to see it that way. Imagine you're going through a health crisis, a diagnosis that changes everything. At first, it's overwhelming. Fear, uncertainty, and frustration might dominate your thoughts. But then you start to notice the small things: the support of loved ones, the dedication of medical professionals, even the quiet strength you discover within yourself. Gratitude, in this context, doesn't erase the difficulty, but it does something remarkable. It helps you reframe the experience. Instead of feeling defeated, you begin to see the crisis as an opportunity to grow, to connect more deeply with others, and to appreciate the resilience of the human spirit. This shift in perspective doesn't happen overnight, but when it does, it can transform how you navigate even the toughest moments. The Stoics believed that every challenge carries a lesson, and gratitude is the key to unlocking it. Think of a time when you faced a significant difficulty. Maybe it was a job loss, a relationship ending, or a personal failure. At the time, it might have felt like the world was collapsing. But looking back, can you see how that experience shaped you? Perhaps it taught you patience or humility or the importance of self-reliance. Gratitude allows us to extract meaning from our struggles, to see them not as random misfortunes, but as stepping stones on the path to becoming who we are meant to be. So, what's one difficulty you've faced that gratitude has helped you overcome? It could be something as simple as a tough day at work, where you found yourself appreciating the chance to learn and adapt, or something as profound as a personal loss that deepened your appreciation for the time you had. Gratitude doesn't change the facts of what happened, it changes how we relate to those facts. By focusing on what we've gained rather than what we've lost, we build the resilience to face whatever comes next. And that, in the end, is the true power of gratitude. It doesn't just help us survive life's storms, it helps us grow through them. What can gratitude teach us about living simply? It's a question that might seem counterintuitive in a world that often equates success with accumulation. But the Stoics, with their timeless wisdom, saw simplicity not as a limitation, but as a path to freedom. Seneca, in his letters, warned against the dangers of excess, writing, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Gratitude, in this context, becomes a tool for stripping away the non-essentials, helping us focus on what truly matters. It's not about living with less for the sake of deprivation. It's about creating space for what brings genuine fulfillment. Think about the last time you decluttered a space in your home. Maybe it was a cluttered closet or an overstuffed drawer. At first, the process might have felt overwhelming, but as you let go of what you didn't need, something remarkable happened. The space felt lighter, more open, and suddenly, the items you kept, the ones you truly valued, stood out more clearly. That's the essence of Stoic simplicity. It's about removing the noise so we can better appreciate the signal. Gratitude helps us identify what's worth keeping, not just in our physical spaces, but in our lives as a whole. Seneca often wrote about the trap of materialism, how the pursuit of more can leave us feeling emptier than ever. He observed that those who chase wealth and status often find themselves in a never-ending cycle of wanting, always looking for the next thing to fill the void. But gratitude, he argued, flips this script. When we take the time to appreciate what we already have, we begin to see that many of our desires are distractions, not necessities. A simple meal shared with loved ones, a quiet walk in nature, or even the comfort of a familiar routine, these are the moments that often hold the most meaning, yet they're the ones we're most likely to overlook. Consider the practice of minimalism, which has gained popularity in recent years. At its core, minimalism isn't about owning as little as possible, it's about owning only what adds value to your life. And gratitude is the key to unlocking that value. When we approach our possessions with a sense of appreciation, we're less likely to cling to things out of habit or fear of scarcity. Instead, we're free to let go of what no longer serves us, making room for what truly matters. This isn't just a practical shift, it's a mindset shift. It's about recognizing that abundance isn't found in having more, but in needing less. So, what's one thing you can simplify in your life to make room for gratitude? It doesn't have to be a dramatic change. Maybe it's as simple as clearing out a drawer, reducing your screen time, or saying no to commitments that drain your energy. When we simplify, we create space not just in our physical environments, but in our minds and hearts. And in that space, gratitude can flourish. It's a practice that reminds us that life's greatest joys are often found in its simplest moments. By embracing this Stoic approach to simplicity, we're not just decluttering our lives, we're reclaiming our ability to live with intention, clarity, and deep appreciation. Gratitude reminds us that nothing lasts forever. It's a truth as old as time, yet one we often forget in the rush of daily life. The Stoics, with their deep understanding of impermanence, saw this not as a cause for despair, but as an invitation to live more fully. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his Meditations, often reflected on the fleeting nature of life. "You could leave life right now," he wrote. "Let that determine what you do and say and think." This isn't meant to be morbid, it's a call to action. A reminder that every moment, every breath, every interaction is a gift precisely because it won't last. Think about a sunset. For a few minutes, the sky is alive with colors, vivid oranges, soft pinks, deep purples, but as quickly as it appears, it fades. If we're lucky, we pause to appreciate it. For that brief moment, we're fully present, captivated by the beauty before us. The Stoics would argue that this is how we should approach every aspect of life. Not just the spectacular moments, but the ordinary ones too, the sound of a loved one's laughter, the warmth of a hug, the quiet stillness of an early morning. These are the things that make life rich, and yet they're all impermanent. Gratitude, in this sense, becomes a way of honoring the fleeting nature of these experiences. It's not about clinging to them, but about savoring them while they're here. Consider the people in your life. The Stoics believed that relationships, like everything else, are temporary. This isn't meant to make us anxious, but to help us cherish the time we have with others. Imagine sitting with a loved one, fully engaged in conversation. You're not thinking about what you'll do later or what you might have said differently. You're simply there, appreciating the connection. Marcus Aurelius would say that this is the essence of living well, recognizing the impermanence of these moments and allowing that awareness to deepen our gratitude for them. So, what's one thing you're grateful for today that you know won't last forever? It could be something as simple as the taste of your favorite meal, the comfort of a familiar routine, or even the way sunlight filters through your window. When we take the time to notice these fleeting gifts, we begin to see how much beauty and meaning are woven into the fabric of our lives. And in doing so, we align ourselves with the Stoic ideal of living fully, deeply, and gratefully, right here, right now. How can gratitude connect us to the natural world? For the Stoics, nature wasn't just a backdrop to life. It was a profound teacher, a source of wisdom, and a reminder of our place in the larger order of things. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, often spoke about living in harmony with nature. He believed that by aligning ourselves with its rhythms and principles, we could find peace and clarity. What is the fruit of these teachings? He asked. Tranquility, fearlessness, and freedom. And at the heart of this alignment is gratitude, a deep appreciation for the natural world and the lessons it offers. Imagine walking through a forest. The sunlight filters through the trees, casting dappled shadows on the ground. The air is crisp, filled with the scent of pine and the distant sound of a stream. In this moment, you feel a sense of calm, a connection to something greater than yourself. The Stoics would say this isn't just a pleasant experience, it's an opportunity to practice gratitude. When we take the time to notice the beauty and intricacy of nature, we're reminded of how much we rely on it, how deeply we're interwoven with its cycles. The trees provide oxygen, the soil nourishes our food, the water sustains life. Even the simplest walk in the woods can become a meditation on gratitude, helping us see the world with fresh eyes. Nature also teaches us about impermanence, a core Stoic principle. Seasons change, leaves fall, and rivers flow. Nothing stays the same. This can be a source of anxiety if we resist it, but it can also be a source of profound gratitude if we embrace it. The Stoics saw impermanence not as a flaw, but as a reminder to savor the present moment. When we stand in awe of a sunset or marvel at the first snowfall of winter, we're practicing gratitude for the fleeting beauty of life. It's a way of saying, this moment won't last forever, and that's what makes it precious. Epictetus often used nature as a metaphor for living a virtuous life. He compared the human soul to a tree, saying that just as a tree needs the right conditions to grow, our character thrives when we cultivate it with care and intention. Gratitude, in this sense, is like sunlight. It nourishes our inner growth, helping us become more resilient, more grounded, and more at peace. When we feel connected to nature, we're reminded that we're not separate from it. We're part of an intricate, ever-changing web, and our well-being is tied to the well-being of the world around us. So, what's one aspect of nature you're grateful for today? It could be the warmth of the sun on your face, the sound of rain tapping against your window, or even the sight of a single flower pushing through the cracks in a sidewalk. These moments, often overlooked, are opportunities to pause and reflect on the gifts the natural world offers. Gratitude helps us see that nature isn't just something out there, it's a vital part of who we are. And when we honor it, we honor ourselves, finding a deeper sense of belonging and purpose in the process. Gratitude is a form of mindfulness. At its core, it's about being fully present, about noticing the details of life that often slip by unnoticed. The Stoics understood this connection long before the term mindfulness became popular. For them, gratitude wasn't just a fleeting feeling, it was a practice of paying attention, of anchoring themselves in the here and now. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most eloquent voices, wrote extensively about the importance of attention. He believed that how we direct our focus shapes our entire experience of life. The mind is its own place, he said, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. Gratitude, then, becomes a way to train the mind to see the heaven in the everyday. Take something as simple as a cup of coffee. Most mornings we might drink it on autopilot, barely registering the warmth of the mug in our hands or the rich aroma filling the air. But what if instead we paused? What if we noticed the steam rising in delicate curls, the way the first sip feels both comforting and invigorating? This is gratitude as mindfulness, a deliberate choice to slow down and engage fully with the moment. The Stoics would call this prosoph, or attention, an awareness that transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, simply by paying closer attention to it. Seneca often reminded his readers that life is made up of these small, seemingly insignificant moments. Yet, it's in these moments that we often find the most meaning. He wrote, "Each day acquires a different value when you regard it as if it were the last." When we practice gratitude in this way, we're not just appreciating what's in front of us, we're cultivating a deeper awareness of life itself. It's a reminder that every moment, no matter how mundane, holds the potential for connection and wonder. Think about your own day. What's one small moment you can appreciate with full attention? Maybe it's the sound of rain tapping gently against your window, the way sunlight spills across your desk, or even the quiet rhythm of your breath as you pause to reflect. These moments might seem insignificant, but when we approach them with gratitude, they become anchors, reminders to slow down, to breathe, and to truly inhabit the present. The Stoics knew that life's richness lies not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, attentive appreciation of the here and now. And when we practice this kind of mindfulness, we begin to see that even the simplest moments can hold profound meaning, if only we take the time to notice. How does gratitude inspire generosity? At first glance, these two concepts might seem separate, one focused on appreciating what we have, the other on sharing it with others. But for the Stoics, gratitude and generosity were deeply intertwined. They believed that when we truly appreciate the gifts in our lives, whether they're material, emotional, or relational, we naturally feel compelled to extend those gifts to others. Marcus Aurelius, in his writings, often reflected on the interconnectedness of humanity. He saw gratitude not as a private feeling, but as a force that binds us together, reminding us that our well-being is tied to the well-being of others. "What brings no benefit to the hive," he wrote, "brings none to the bee." In other words, when we give, we also receive, not just in material terms, but in the sense of belonging and purpose that comes from contributing to something larger than ourselves. Think about a time when someone's kindness made a difference in your life. Maybe it was a mentor who guided you, a friend who stood by you during a tough time, or even a stranger whose small act of generosity lifted your spirits. When we feel gratitude for these moments, it often sparks a desire to pay it forward. The Stoics understood this cycle deeply. They saw gratitude as the seed and generosity as the fruit, a natural progression that enriches both the giver and the receiver. It's not just about giving out of obligation or duty. It's about giving because we recognize how much we've been given. Consider the act of donating to a cause you're grateful for. Maybe it's a charity that supported a loved one during a health crisis, an organization that provided education or resources you value, or even a local initiative that strengthens your community. When we give in this way, we're not just expressing gratitude, we're actively participating in the well-being of others. The Stoics would call this an expression of oikeiosis, a term that refers to our natural inclination to care for others as an extension of ourselves. It's a reminder that generosity isn't just about what we give, but about the connection it fosters and the ripple effect it creates. So, how can you express gratitude by giving back to others? It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It could be as simple as offering your time to someone in need, sharing a skill or resource, or even writing a heartfelt note of thanks. The key is to let your gratitude guide your actions, to let it flow outward in ways that feel authentic and meaningful. When we give from a place of genuine appreciation, we not only honor the gifts we've received, we also create opportunities for others to feel seen, valued, and supported. The Stoics believed that generosity was a form of wisdom, a way of living in alignment with nature and the interconnected web of life. By practicing gratitude and generosity together, we're not just enriching our own lives, we're contributing to a world where kindness and connection thrive. And in doing so, we embody the Stoic ideal of living virtuously, not just for ourselves, but for the collective good. Gratitude shifts our perspective from lack to abundance. It's like turning on a light in a dark room suddenly. What once felt empty or overwhelming becomes filled with possibility. The Stoics understood this power deeply. They saw gratitude not just as a way to feel good, but as a tool to transform how we see the world. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most practical teachers, put it this way: "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In other words, our perception shapes our reality, and gratitude, it's the lens that helps us see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to grow. Take something as mundane as a traffic jam. Most of us would groan at the thought, wasted time, frustration, maybe even anger. But what if instead we used that moment to pause and reflect? What if we turned off the radio, took a deep breath, and thought about the things we often take for granted, like having a car to drive, a destination to reach, or even the chance to slow down in a world that's always rushing? This shift in perspective doesn't erase the inconvenience, but it transforms it. Suddenly, the traffic jam isn't just a nuisance. It's a reminder to appreciate the small freedoms we have, even when life feels out of our control. Epictetus called this practice prohersis, the ability to choose how we interpret and respond to events. He believed that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can always control how we perceive it. Gratitude, in this sense, becomes a form of mental discipline. It's not about pretending everything is perfect, it's about finding meaning in the imperfect. When we practice gratitude, we're training ourselves to see the bigger picture, to recognize that even in difficulty, there's always something to learn, something to grow from, or something to appreciate. So, what's one situation in your life you can reframe with gratitude today? Maybe it's a stressful project at work that's stretching your skills, or a disagreement with a loved one that's challenging your patience. Instead of focusing on what's going wrong, try shifting your attention to what's going right. What's this situation teaching you? How is it helping you grow? When we approach life with this mindset, even the toughest moments can become sources of strength and insight. Gratitude doesn't just change how we feel, it changes how we live. And in doing so, it helps us see the world not as a series of problems to solve, but as a landscape of opportunities to embrace. how does gratitude help us accept what we cannot change? It's a question that strikes at the heart of Stoic philosophy. For the Stoics, acceptance wasn't about resignation. It was about finding peace in the face of life's inevitable ups and downs. Gratitude, they believed, was the key to this kind of acceptance. It's not about ignoring the challenges or pretending everything is fine. It's about recognizing that even in the midst of difficulty, there's something to appreciate, something to learn, or something to hold onto. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most insightful voices, often wrote about the power of acceptance. He reminded us that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. In other words, our resistance to what we can't control often causes more pain than the situation itself. Gratitude then becomes a way to soften that resistance, to open ourselves to life as it is rather than as we wish it to be. Take a rainy day, for example. Most of us would groan at the thought of cancelled plans or soggy shoes. But what if, instead of focusing on what the rain takes away, we noticed what it gives? The way it nourishes the earth, the soothing sound of droplets against the window, or even the chance to slow down and enjoy a quiet afternoon indoors. This shift in perspective doesn't change the weather, but it changes how we experience it. Gratitude helps us see the value in what's already here, even when it's not what we expected or wanted. It's a way of saying, this moment, imperfect as it may be, still holds beauty and meaning. The Stoics believed that acceptance is a form of wisdom. It's about understanding that life is unpredictable, that we can't control everything, and that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay, it's an opportunity to grow. Seneca often encouraged his readers to embrace life's challenges as teachers. He wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Gratitude, in this sense, is the tool that helps us reframe our struggles, to see them not as obstacles, but as chances to build resilience and deepen our understanding of life. So, what's one thing you struggle to accept that gratitude could help you embrace? Maybe it's a job that feels stagnant, a relationship that's hit a rough patch, or even a personal limitation you've been wrestling with. Instead of fighting against it, what if you pause to reflect on what this situation is offering you? Perhaps it's teaching you patience, or pushing you to reassess your priorities, or even showing you a strength you didn't know you had. Gratitude doesn't erase the difficulty, but it does help us see it in a new light. It reminds us that acceptance isn't about giving up, it's about finding the courage to move forward, even when the path isn't what we envisioned. By practicing gratitude in this way, we're not just accepting life's imperfections, we're learning to thrive within them. It's a practice that helps us find peace in the present, even when the present isn't perfect. And in doing so, we honor the Stoic ideal of living with wisdom, resilience, and an open heart. Gratitude is the foundation of true joy. This might sound like a bold claim, especially in a world that often equates happiness with external achievements, wealth, status, or material possessions. But the Stoics saw things differently. They believed that joy, in its purest form, comes from within. It's not something we find in the world around us. It's something we cultivate through our mindset and our ability to appreciate what's already here. Marcus Aurelius, reflecting on this idea, wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." In other words, joy isn't dependent on what happens to us. It's rooted in how we choose to see and respond to life. Think about a simple act of kindness, the kind that often goes unnoticed. Maybe it's a stranger holding the door open for you, a colleague offering a word of encouragement, or even a friend sending a thoughtful text just to check in. These moments, though small, carry a quiet kind of joy, but here's the thing, that joy doesn't come from the act itself. It comes from our ability to recognize it, to pause and truly appreciate it. The Stoics would call this a moment of alignment, a time when we're fully present, fully aware of the goodness around us, and fully connected to the gratitude that makes it meaningful. This perspective shifts the way we think about joy. Instead of chasing it in grand gestures or external achievements, we begin to see it in the everyday. A warm cup of tea on a chilly morning, the sound of laughter shared with a loved one, or even the quiet satisfaction of completing a task. These are all moments that can bring joy if we let them. And gratitude is the key to unlocking that joy. It's the practice of noticing, of savoring, of saying to ourselves, "This right here is enough." Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to find joy in simplicity, in the ordinary rhythms of life. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." That's the essence of Stoic joy. It's not about waiting for life to give us what we want, but about embracing what it already offers. It's about finding joy not in the extraordinary, but in the everyday moments that often go unnoticed. So, what's one thing that brings you joy, and how can gratitude deepen it? Maybe it's the sound of birds singing outside your window, the feeling of accomplishment after a good workout, or even the comfort of a familiar routine. When we take the time to appreciate these moments, we're not just experiencing joy, we're nurturing it. Gratitude helps us see that joy isn't something we need to chase. It's something we can create simply by paying attention to the beauty and meaning already woven into our lives. And in doing so, we align ourselves with the Stoic ideal of living with clarity, presence, and deep appreciation for the gift of being alive. How can gratitude shape the legacy we leave behind? It's a question that might feel weighty, but it's one the Stoics wrestled with deeply. For them, life wasn't just about the here and now. It was about how we live in a way that ripples outward, touching others long after we're gone. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most eloquent voices, often wrote about the importance of living a life of purpose. He believed that gratitude wasn't just a personal practice. It was a way to honor the people and experiences that shaped us, ensuring their influence lives on through our actions. In one of his letters, he wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." In other words, the legacy we leave begins with the courage to live fully and gratefully, even when it's hard. Think about the people who have made a difference in your life: teachers who inspired you, mentors who guided you, or loved ones who supported you through tough times. Their impact didn't end with their words or actions. It lives on in the way you carry yourself, the values you uphold, and the kindness you extend to others. Gratitude, in this sense, becomes a bridge between the past and the future. It's a way of saying, "I see what you've given me and I'll carry it forward." The Stoics understood that gratitude isn't just about looking back. It's about using that appreciation to fuel a life of meaning and connection. Consider this: when we express gratitude to those who have influenced us, we're not just acknowledging their impact, we're reinforcing the values they've instilled in us. Imagine writing a letter to someone who shaped your life, thanking them for their guidance or kindness. That act alone doesn't just honor them, it strengthens your own commitment to live in a way that reflects their influence. Seneca often encouraged his readers to reflect on the lessons they'd learned from others, writing, "The best ideas are common property." Gratitude, then, becomes a way to keep those ideas alive, to ensure that the wisdom of the past continues to inspire the future. So, what's one way you can use gratitude to create a lasting impact? It doesn't have to be grand or elaborate. Maybe it's as simple as sharing a lesson you've learned with someone else, or making a conscious effort to live by the values you've inherited. When we approach gratitude as a way to honor and extend the legacy of others, we're not just living for ourselves, we're contributing to a chain of influence that stretches far beyond our own lives. The Stoics believed that the true measure of a life well lived isn't in what we accumulate, but in what we give back, and gratitude, as they taught us, is the thread that weaves it all together. Gratitude strengthens our sense of community. It's not just a personal practice, it's a way to weave ourselves into the fabric of the world around us, to recognize that we're part of something larger than ourselves. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that gratitude wasn't just about appreciating what we have. It was about acknowledging the people and relationships that make our lives richer and more meaningful. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's most practical philosophers, often spoke about our shared humanity. He reminded us that we're all connected, that our well-being is tied to the well-being of others. What brings no benefit to the hive, he said, brings none to the bee. In other words, gratitude isn't just about feeling thankful, it's about fostering connection, about recognizing that we thrive when we support one another. Think about a simple act of gratitude in your own community, maybe thanking a neighbor for helping you carry groceries, or expressing appreciation to a local shopkeeper for their hard work. These small gestures might seem insignificant, but they have a ripple effect. They remind us that we're not isolated individuals, we're part of a network of relationships that sustain and enrich us. The Stoics believed that gratitude was a way to honor this interconnectedness, to strengthen the bonds that hold communities together. It's not just about saying, "Thank you," it's about creating a culture of mutual respect and appreciation. Take, for example, the act of expressing gratitude to a neighbor. Maybe they've been keeping an eye on your home while you're away, or they've shared produce from their garden. When you take the time to acknowledge their kindness, you're not just making them feel valued, you're reinforcing the sense of trust and connection that makes a community thrive. The Stoics would see this as an expression of oikoiosis, the idea that we're naturally inclined to care for others as an extension of ourselves. It's a reminder that gratitude isn't just a personal virtue, it's a social one, a way to nurture the relationships that make life meaningful. So, how can you use gratitude to build stronger connections in your community? It doesn't have to be complicated. Start small, smile at someone in passing, write a note of thanks to a local volunteer, or simply take a moment to appreciate the people who make your neighborhood feel like home. These acts of gratitude might seem simple, but they have the power to transform how we relate to one another. They remind us that we're all in this together, that our actions, no matter how small, can create a sense of belonging and unity. The Stoics believed that gratitude was a way to align ourselves with the natural order, to live in harmony with the world and the people in it. When we practice gratitude in our communities, we're not just enriching our own lives, we're contributing to a culture of kindness and connection that benefits everyone. It's a practice that reminds us that we're not just individuals, we're part of a collective, a tapestry of relationships that make life richer and more meaningful. And in honoring those relationships, we honor the Stoic ideal of living in alignment with others, of building a world where gratitude and connection thrive. How does gratitude reinforce self-discipline? At first glance, gratitude might seem like a soft or passive emotion, something that makes us feel good but doesn't necessarily drive action. Yet, for the Stoics, gratitude was anything but passive. It was a disciplined practice, a way to anchor themselves in their values and stay focused on what truly mattered. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, often reflected on self-mastery, writing, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Gratitude, in this context, becomes a tool for exercising that power, a way to align our actions with our deepest principles. Think about a moment when you felt truly grateful. Maybe it was for your health, your relationships, or even the opportunity to pursue a passion. That sense of appreciation didn't just make you feel good, it likely inspired you to take better care of what you valued. Gratitude, in this sense, is like a compass. It helps us stay on course, reminding us why we're putting in the effort, even when the path feels difficult. For the Stoics, this was essential. They believed that to live a virtuous life, we needed to be intentional about our choices, and gratitude was the practice that kept them grounded in that intention. Take something as straightforward as a workout. On days when motivation is low, it's easy to skip the gym or cut a run short. But what if, instead of focusing on the effort, you pause to appreciate the opportunity? You might think about how grateful you are for a body that's capable of movement, for the time and resources to exercise, or even for the mental clarity that comes from pushing through a challenge. This shift in perspective doesn't just make the workout easier, it transforms it into a meaningful act, a way to honor the gifts you've been given. Gratitude in this way becomes a source of discipline, helping you stay committed to your goals even when distractions or discomfort arise. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to waste no more time arguing what a good person should be one. This wasn't just a call to action, it was a reminder to stay aligned with his values, to live with purpose and integrity. Gratitude for him was a way to reinforce that alignment. When we practice gratitude, we're not just appreciating what we have, we're reminding ourselves of what we're striving for, why it matters, and how our daily choices contribute to that larger vision. So, what's one area of your life where gratitude could help you stay disciplined? Maybe it's in your work, where expressing appreciation for the opportunity to grow and contribute could fuel your focus. Or perhaps it's in a relationship where remembering the value of the connection helps you show up with patience and kindness, even on tough days. Gratitude doesn't just make these efforts feel easier, it makes them feel meaningful. And when we approach discipline through this lens, it's no longer about forcing ourselves to do the hard thing. It's about honoring the values and opportunities that make the effort worthwhile. In the end, gratitude and self-discipline are two sides of the same coin. One reminds us of what we value, and the other helps us act in service of those values. Together, they create a powerful synergy, a way to live with intention, focus, and deep appreciation for the life we're building. And that, as the Stoics taught, is the essence of a life well lived. Gratitude is the path to inner peace. It's a truth the Stoics understood deeply, long before modern psychology confirmed the calming effects of a thankful heart. For them, gratitude wasn't just a fleeting emotion. It was a disciplined practice, a way to quiet the mind and reduce the noise of anxiety and worry. Seneca, one of Stoicism's most eloquent voices, often wrote about the connection between gratitude and tranquility. He saw gratitude as a way to anchor the soul, to bring it back to a place of calm even when the world felt chaotic. True happiness, he wrote, is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. In other words, when we focus on what we're grateful for, we're able to let go of the endless what-ifs and find peace in the here and now. Imagine a day that feels overwhelming, deadlines piling up, unexpected challenges, and a to-do list that never seems to end. It's easy to feel swept away by the stress, to let the chaos take over. But what if, in the midst of it all, you paused for just a moment? What if you took a deep breath and thought about one thing you're grateful for? Maybe the support of a colleague, the comfort of a warm drink, or even the fact that you're capable of handling the challenges in front of you. That small act of gratitude doesn't erase the chaos, but it shifts your perspective. It reminds you that even in the storm, there are moments of calm to hold onto. And in that shift, you find a sense of peace. Seneca believed that tranquility wasn't about avoiding difficulty, it was about finding stillness within it. Gratitude, in this sense, becomes a tool for creating that stillness. It's not about ignoring the challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that even in the midst of chaos, there's always something to appreciate. A kind word, a moment of quiet, or even the strength you've gained from past challenges, these are the things that help us stay grounded. When we practice gratitude, we're not just acknowledging what's good in our lives, we're training our minds to focus on what brings us peace rather than what pulls us into worry. So, what's one thing you're grateful for that brings you peace? It could be something as simple as the sound of rain outside your window, the feeling of a loved one's hand in yours, or even the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. When we take the time to notice these moments, we're not just practicing gratitude, we're cultivating a sense of calm that stays with us, even when life feels overwhelming. The Stoics knew that inner peace wasn't something we find in the world around us. It's something we create within ourselves, one grateful thought at a time. And in doing so, we honor their timeless wisdom, finding stillness not by escaping life's challenges, but by embracing them with a heart full of gratitude. Gratitude, as we've explored, is far more than a fleeting emotion. It's a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, a practice that nurtures fulfillment, resilience, and connection. It's not something that happens to us, it's something we choose, something we cultivate through discipline and intention. The Stoics taught us that gratitude isn't about waiting for life to be perfect. It's about finding meaning in the imperfect, about seeing challenges as opportunities and ordinary moments as extraordinary gifts. It's about anchoring ourselves in what we can control: our thoughts, our attitudes, and our ability to appreciate the present, no matter what it brings. Epictetus, one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, captured this idea beautifully when he said, "He who is not contented with what he has would not be contented with what he would like to have." These words remind us that fulfillment isn't found in accumulating more, but in appreciating what's already here. Gratitude shifts our focus from what's lacking to what's abundant, from what we can't control to what we can. It's a practice that transforms not just how we see the world, but how we live in it. If you're ready to embrace this Stoic practice, start small. Take a moment each day to reflect on what you're grateful for. It could be something as simple as the warmth of sunlight on your face, the support of a loved one, or even the lessons you've learned from a difficult experience. Over time, this daily habit will begin to rewire your perspective, helping you find peace in the present and strength in adversity. It's not about ignoring life's challenges, it's about meeting them with clarity, resilience, and a heart full of appreciation. Now it's your turn. How has gratitude shaped your life, or how do you plan to incorporate it into your daily routine? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your stories and reflections. And if you're hungry for more Stoic wisdom, don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey toward a life of deeper fulfillment and purpose. Remember, gratitude isn't just a practice, it's a way of living. And every moment you spend appreciating the gifts around you is a step toward a richer, more meaningful life.